David, welcome to the Empathy Edge podcast to help us unpack all things shame, which is a little bit of a scary topic, I know, for some people, but it's so important in being able to name it and claim it and recognize it so that we can leave room to embrace our empathy. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here with you.
So, my first question, as it is for all my guests, just briefly, tell us how you got to this work. How did you get to this work in shame?
Oh, um, well, the first thing is a story. Like for many of us, the gifts that we have, I call it the genius, but I'm meaning the genius, the spirit of our gifts, uh, is usually woven into our story. The wounded healer, if we can call it that. And I grew up in a family uh, of a father who used fists and belts to express his rage. You can call that abuse. That would be the right word. Violence, those would be the right words. Traumatizing, that would be the right word. So that's a real thing, a big deal. And I had a mother who was relatively disempowered. I'm 69, so that was a generation, not that everybody's empowered today. And being disempowered for her meant I have to act like this is not happening. I have to act like I'm not in a family house with violence in it. I have to deny it and dismiss it. That wouldn't happen. Your father would never do that. I'm making the sound of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pleading that she had. I'm not putting her down. That was how she coped.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Mom, look what's happening. He would never do that. Even if she was watching the violence, he would say the next day, that didn't happen. You're getting so upset. Why do you get so angry about things? So, in that story, you have two parts. You have a perpetrator of a kind of a violence.
Mm-hmm.
That story for someone else could be a parent or a teacher or a culture or a police officer or a hospital that says, you're a person of color. We don't think that you have pain. The perpetrating energy could be a system or a person.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a mother figure. It wouldn't have to be a mother. I'm not blaming mothers,
Mm-hmm.
but that says, that's not really happening. Why are you thinking those things? Maybe you're making things up. Maybe you have an emotional problem, not a violence problem. So
Mm-hmm.
when I take in her, that mother, I then deny my experience, dismiss my experience, and I end up with two beliefs that get entered into my body and psyche. What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why am I angry? How come I do
Mm-hmm.
exaggerate? Why am I sensitive? Maybe I need someone to heal me and make me a better person, a forgiving person, a good person, a not angry person. Or I guess maybe I don't matter that much because there's a lot of difficulties, but no one's taking them seriously. So then I think, well, maybe my views, my opinions, my experiences don't matter so much. So when a person walks around with a, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Maybe I don't matter that much. Maybe I should withdraw and not bring myself out so much. I call that experience, that belief, shame.
Mm-hmm.
It- think of this word. It's like self-annihilating. You, as you are, and your experience and your hurts and your feelings and your opinions, make them go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, so
I,
that's
mhm.
such a profound story, and I think what I'm hearing from that is where shame exists is there's sort of a perpetrator and a denier, and sometimes the denier is external, but is sometimes the denier internal as well.
Absolutely. If you, they go together. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say you, as a woman identified person, I think, yeah, right. So let's say you say, I went and I spoke my mind the other day, and then afterwards, I'm thinking of a client, a woman client. Afterwards, she said, "Oh my gosh, I probably said too much last night. Why did I say so much? Why did I listen to what's going on inside the head? What did I do? I really don't try to do that. I should have listened more. It may not
Mm-hmm.
be those exact words. Took up too much space." So in that
Yeah.
case, she has an internalized depression, something that says you as a woman should not take up too much space. And if you do, because you had a couple of glasses of wine, you're going to have to suffer the criticism. You should feel really bad about that. Make yourself smaller, shrink yourself, be a nice,
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for other people listening person again.
Mm-hmm.
Lives in her head. So in that case, it's an outer situation, a social condition
Mm-hmm.
many women have internalized. Not all, I'm not trying to generalize for all
Mm-hmm.
women, but I've read enough and studied enough to know that that's true. And then when she goes out and says, wait a second, Maria, I have my opinion. David, wait a second, I don't think you're right. Let me tell you what, listen to, and I have some authority. I'm going to speak with some authority and power. She might get shame entered. I'm too talkative. I'm too loud. I'm too much.
Hmm.
I shouldn't be so sensitive to things.
Hmm.
That viewpoint, I'm too much. I'm too sensitive. That's shame. Something's wrong
Hmm.
with me. I'm not just a woman coming into her power or an
Hmm.
intelligent woman who has every right to speak. I'm a person who's doing something wrong. I should go get healing. So I'm quoting quote around that. So I'm less like that.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
There's so much there, and I think that's a really great definition because it with that viewpoint of shame, it's very different from embarrassment and humiliation. There's an element of almost these two opposing forces, each trying to get heard within your own head and
Yeah.
also externally to you, and you're trying to navigate those, and the feeling you're left with is shame. Would
Yeah.
you actually call shame a feeling or a psychological state?
I would call it a psychological state. There are feelings associated with it.
Hmm.
But here's the problem. Most people who think about shame and who've done great, many people have done great work on that, describe shame as this incredibly painful feeling. But most shame goes with no feeling at all. For
Mm.
instance, let's go back to that story of that imaginary woman, not only
Hmm.
imagined, right? Right? And let's say she says, I was so good tonight. I really listened to people and I didn't cut anybody off and I really didn't push my own point of view. I feel good. So now listen to what's inside something's operating saying you can feel good about yourself if you shrink, make yourself smaller, don't bring
Right.
forth your own intelligence. She's
Right.
not walking around saying, I had the most painful experience tonight. Yet
Mhm.
shame is powerfully operating on whether she's herself, how she feels it, how she connects with people, how she influences people, whether her
Hmm.
intelligence is going to get seen, whether she's going to feel be invited into people's uh, workplaces, all kinds of things, but she doesn't have any apparent negative feelings.
Wow. Wow. There's
Most
almost a,
shame, most shame is like that. Most shame is
yeah.
not like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, you humiliated me on the podcast, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But most shame
Yeah.
is not like that.
Yeah. It almost seems very numbing and paralyzing versus feeling. So, um, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um, as we're here on the empathy edge, how do you feel that shame impedes or hinders our ability to access our empathy for other people? In what
I,
ways? And how does that manifest?
I'm, I got almost teary when you asked me. That's funny. I wasn't expecting that because it's such an important question. Because there's an idea that some people have been taught. You need a certain amount of shame because I should feel ashamed if I do something gross to you, right? Or
Right.
to a child or to a bunch of people.
Right.
Shouldn't I feel bad?
Right.
And I'm
Otherwise, I'm a
like,
sociopath, right? That's the
yeah,
that's the
I'm
thing
talking
we
about.
tell ourselves.
Don't
Yeah.
you need shame? And I think I understand what they're saying. I
Hmm.
do need some feeling that's not so pleasant inside of myself.
Hmm.
But that's not shame. That's like, oh my gosh, embarrassment, or oh my gosh, I feel guilty, or I really care. Oh my gosh, Maria, I don't even know you when I did that. I feel really bad. Remorse. How can I'm accountable. Maybe I have to, should I write a letter into your audience and say that that was me? What can I do to repair? Those are all appropriate. Oh, David, I feel terrible. David, why'd you do that? Oh shit, that was a mistake. That's not shame.
Right.
That's appropriate feelings that lead me to make changes.
Right.
Shame, if shame enters my system, let's say I do something gross to you here, right?
Hmm.
If shame enters my system, the only thing I care about is removing the bad experience I have of myself. I don't care about you. I care about, I'm glued to my shame.
Hmm.
Maria is non-existent for me.
Right. You're in self-preservation at that.
And my feelings, and what do I need to do? Should I lie? Should I cheat? Should I steal? Should I make something up? Should I make a persona around this? Genuine empathy for what you went through and that I actually hurt you and it matters to me, there's no such thing in the fully shame psyche. You don't exist as a person that matters to me at all.
I think that's so important for us to understand because we do tend to lump all those things together. And it's okay to have regret. It's okay to make a mistake and feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But I think the difference I'm seeing is that when you feel those other things, you can make an action towards repair
Yeah.
versus if you're in the shame mode, like we said, you're so much into self-preservation, you're not even thinking about the perspective or the viewpoint of the other person.
Yeah. No, people don't exist. In a sense, the shame is self-annihilating. So I'm not really here. I can't, for instance, I won't be able to think and explore. So,
Hmm.
David, you said this rough thing with Maria. By the way, everybody, I have nothing rough to say. I'm just, I,
These are all scenarios. Yes, we
yeah.
know.
What was in you, David, when you wanted to say that?
Hmm.
Well, it was a bad thing. It was a terrible thing I did. I know, but what was in you?
Hmm.
Was there an energy that you felt held back about? Was there some way that you needed to express something? Maybe it didn't even only belong to Maria. Let's get to know something about what you did.
Hmm.
Not like you should be punished. I mean, let's get to know.
Hmm.
Maybe you did something. Sometimes I give my wife, we've been married for 20 years, Lisa.
Hmm.
Sometimes I give her a little, I'm calling it a jab, not a physical jab. I
Hmm.
make a couple of
Yeah,
sarcastic jokes.
right.
If I do that more than 2 times, she says, "So, David, what's going on?" That was the third
The third little
little
nudge.
jab.
Yeah.
He says, he says to me, "Are you taking me on a guilt trip? Should I pack my bags?" She says, because I gave her a little guilt, right? Right. So
Yeah.
I'm full of shame. I'm just like, I didn't do that, or she's invisible. But then I can actually say, huh, what did I do? I did the bad thing. I'm a bad person. I know, but what'd you do? Hmm.
Right.
There's something that happened the other day I never talked to her about. That's really been upsetting me. So
Hmm.
now I'm actually doing a deeper repair. I see what's going on, but I
Right.
have the ability to reflect and think maybe there's something in me that I needed to deal with
Yeah.
on my own or with her, not by making her feel guilty and giving her indirect jabs. I'm not
Right.
supporting that, but I'm like, maybe there's a reason. Maybe there was something in me. Huh, maybe I should get to know myself deeper, not try to figure out how to censor myself and oppress myself,
Right.
to get to know myself
Well,
deeper.
I mean, that's also like we talk about that a lot on the show as well, is like that sense of emotional regulation where you can sort of look objectively at your behavior and have the presence to say, what's the root cause of that?
That's a
Why
way.
do I feel this way? I do this a lot. I have a 10 and a half year old son, and I don't always have the best interactions with him. And when I don't, I kind of think back like what contributed to that? Was
Yeah.
it just that he was being mouthy, or did I just get off a really difficult client call
Yeah.
and I'm feeling bad about myself, right? And
Yeah.
that's coming out as aggression. It's coming out as
Mhm.
disappointment. It's coming out as whatever negative emotion that is.
Okay.
But, I I'm not a saint and I'm not able to do that all the time. Sometimes you're in that frame of mind where you can't get objective about the root cause. So I love what you're saying here that even when we're in, a lot of people call it the shame spiral, but if we can catch ourselves somehow and be able to have that objectivity to say what's actually really going on for me? What do you find works well to help someone sort of, if there was like a magic wand or a magic snap you could do to get someone out of that shame spiral
I
in the
mean,
moment? What kind of techniques work?
in the moment, in the
Hmm.
moment, the person needs what I call an unshaming witness. Now, what is that? And they may not have that inside because sometimes I'm just filled with my negative feelings and I don't
Right.
have
They
it.
take over. Yeah.
Even though I've worked with people 35 years, there are moments I don't have it. I don't know
Yeah.
myself in certain spots. So, but if a person could get inside or outside, or even I look at James Baldwin picture, a dead author or a tree or a spirit or a goddess or a friend or something inside
Uh-huh.
them. If a person can ask themselves, whatever I'm feeling and wrestling with, what's it like in my body? That means stop the
Mm-hmm.
cursive, the thoughts, the patterns, the what should I do? What shouldn't I do? What's it feel like in my body? Even for
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 minutes, while my stomach is tense and I got all
Mm-hmm.
this energy. And if you could move a little bit with that energy, let your arms swing, curl up, you leave the ideas about what you did and didn't do wrong and what's wrong with you, and you enter what I call like a pure experience. This is what's
Mm-hmm.
going on for me. I just want to curl up and hide. Go ahead, curl up and hide. A minute of that helps because you're outside of shame's idea. You're just having your own experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's really deep and not easy. It's not easy for people only because we don't do it. It's not hard. It's just that
Right. We're out of
who
practice. Yeah.
thinks in the middle of the night when I'm up and I'm upset about something, I should just go feel in my body. I'm thinking I'm trying to figure myself out for 6 hours,
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't help. The other thing that many people need, but not all, is if there is some kind of inner criticism going on. Oh, I really screwed up. I can't believe the way I did that with that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Holy, why did you do that? That's like a bunch of, right? Somebody's beating me up, you could say, right? I'm not just thinking, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
could have done that better. I'm thinking, oh, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I should have done this. How come I didn't do this? I don't look in the mirror. I don't like this about myself. If that kind of criticism is going on,
Mm-hmm.
if a person can say those criticisms out loud,
Mm-hmm.
as if they are the critical person. David, you really screwed up. What are you doing? This was not the right shirt to wear. I just had noticed my eyes were seeing that. This is not the right shirt to wear. What is this on video? If you can say it out loud with
Mm-hmm.
the energy of it, and you didn't do
Mm-hmm.
this right, you didn't do this right, and you should suffer. Let me add that because
Right.
if you can say those things out loud so your own ears can hear it, writing it down is not sufficient. Our
Right.
ears need to hear, like, oh, that's going on inside of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could respond to advocate for yourself, even if that
Right.
was 2 minutes and 2 minutes, that really helps people a lot.
But isn't that, we talk about how we talk to ourselves. Is that helpful to say that out loud to ourselves and be the narrative that we're continuing to listen to?
As long as you're saying it from this place, I'm going to now
Mm,
say what that critical voice is saying.
got
So
it.
I'm not saying I'm a screw up, I'm a screw up, I'm a screw up. That wouldn't
Right.
be good. But David, you're a screw up. I'm talking as if I'm talking to him.
Yeah.
David, you screw up. You did this wrong. You did this wrong. And why didn't you get more sleep last night? You knew you were going to be tired. Uh, I'm,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to be like, because something in me is going to start noticing that figure, that
Yeah.
orientation, that father, that
That
whatever, that
mother. Yeah.
system, that mother, that police system, that racial
Yeah.
system that talks to people about how with their beauty, that lives inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
That awakens people to the
Mm-hmm.
level of violence that's actually happening. And the
Mm-hmm.
level of violence is enormous. It's not
Mm-hmm.
minor. It's not like, well, I could have had a nicer hair today. It's much more brutal
Yeah.
once listen to those and say those things.
So I want to ask you about, kind of thinking about this also from a professional context and a work context.
Yes.
What do you think is behind the need for some leaders who embrace really dictatorial approaches to leadership? What is it about those people, especially those leaders, and I've experienced some of them, where they
Mm,
have a need to shame others? What's
yeah.
going on there? Like, it's not even about correcting their performance. It's not about supporting them. It's something much more intentional
Yeah.
about embarrassing them, shaming them,
Yeah.
calling them out relentlessly on an email that's copied to everyone in the department. That type
Painful.
of behavior. What do
So
you think is
painful.
behind that need to shame others? Is it shame internal and they're just trying to direct it externally? Like what's going on there?
It's a really deep question. I'm just taking a second and feeling because
Mm-hmm.
I have ideas which I'm happy to say, but it's a deep question. It's like it's one of the questions of our world because of the cycles of violence and the denial of the violence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's do this to these people and then it's justified. I don't know, justified or not, but whatever. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much denial, dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
What I said my mother was doing about the level of violence in the world that makes it difficult to have empathy, regardless of what my position is about the Middle East, about Russia and
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, but have some empathy about the level of violence that's actually happening.
Right.
Maybe that's for coral reef, or maybe that's for what's happening to the forest, whatever it is, the capacity to have that, to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have the answer, but I
Mm-hmm.
know certain things that are true enough because I see them enough.
Right.
The cycle of vengeance is incredible, in part because of unprocessed trauma. I'm not saying everything is unprocessed trauma, but if you look through the lens of understanding trauma, it will help you understand what's happening. So if I'm a person who's been really hurt by, let's say, my father, just as that example, and there's no processing that I haven't processing mean I haven't felt how painful it is. I haven't told the story a little bit. I haven't maybe found some of the anger I have that I can now use in my life that I need to publish a book. So I,
Mm-hmm.
I, I don't know anything about that. It's all inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
When a person is traumatized, they get locked into an experience of themselves. The experience is I'm a smaller person, relatively powerless, less powerful. up against bigger forces. There's David, he's 7, and he's got a father who's 200 pounds and angry. I'm a little person relative to that power.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, I am out of touch with the power I have.
Mm-hmm.
So now I enter an experience with somebody who criticizes me. If I don't know anything about that or unprocess that, David experienced himself as a 7-year-old with a big power.
Mm-hmm.
Not. I'm a 69-year-old man who's published books, who is a lawyer, has students. I'm not only that. I'm not putting it down. I'm
Right.
not only that. That little one wants to feel powerful because he doesn't
Right.
feel, and he ought to feel more powerful.
Right.
I can say no, people will listen to me. I can cry and it matters. My
Mm-hmm.
sensitivity matters. I, I can do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that little one in me, if he's dominant, takes over the scene. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
he's bad. He needs all the help I can give him.
Right.
He might put you in a place where you feel smaller and down.
Mm-hmm.
And that is somewhat satisfying. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
it's deeply resolution and
Yeah.
satisfying, but it's somewhat satisfying because I feel bigger and I want to feel bigger and I ought to feel bigger. And it's true.
Yeah.
I need to feel bigger. This is not the way to do it.
Right. But it's
I got that.
retaliatory. It feels good in the moment
Yeah.
to kind of express your power, even if it's in a negative way. And it's really interesting because I've been doing this work for several years now, specifically
Mhm.
on empathy, but for a long time was in corporate environments. I have my own business. And
Yeah.
I think back to leaders and bosses I had who were not empathetic, who were, and I've said this before on the show, and I don't use the term lightly, psychologically abusive.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew then what I know now. And I might have gone into their office and been like, "Are you okay?
Right.
Like, what just happened back there?
Yeah.
Are you okay?" And
Touching.
just to see the reaction, just to
Yeah.
see what would happen if you stopped giving them something to push against,
Yeah.
how the response would
Indeed.
go.
So many people would get moved by that. And then there's going to be some percent. I don't know what the percentage is. I don't have statistics,
Right,
but some
right, right.
percentage, let's say 10, 15. I don't know. I'm making up numbers. The
Uh-huh.
people feel like this is not based on research, but some percent of people will not be satisfied by anything other than I want to feel this way bigger than other people, lord it over them for a
Mm-hmm.
period of time. And groups do that.
Mm-hmm.
People do that.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we interrupt that
Yeah.
cycle? As a Jewish person, I've studied Jewish history, German history.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when a country gets crushed? World War I, Germany had such a disempowered, crushing kind of experience. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be shocking to any psychological minded person that something could rise up that feels really big and powerful. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
putting it down. People do that all over the place, right? So I'm not
Right.
thinking, they're the Nazis are the example. This
Right.
example survived me at times and
Yeah.
etc.
Sadly, we have lots of examples
Yeah.
we could point
But
to.
then something rises up. What's going to happen with that? How do we bear witness to that? Do we want to crush them again? Well, I want to
Mm-hmm.
stop it. That's for sure. Let's stop it as
Mm-hmm.
that boss. If they can't wake up, let's let's police them. If someone's going to hurt some child, let's police them. Let's lock them up. But what does it look like to make a longer term systemic change? How do we look at those things in a way that brings some kind of healing that's just to shift it? Now I'm powerful. You think you're powerful? Now I want to be the one who's powerful. That's good. I want to feel powerful. But the cycle won't,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
not sustainable. Yeah.
So I want to get
Oh.
to, your book, The Unshaming Way. And I know
I
that
wrote a
this is
book. Oh my
you
gosh,
did.
when
You
did I
wrote a
do
book. Hey.
that?
And
I'm
I
teasing
want to
myself.
talk a
Go
little
ahead.
bit about I want to talk a little bit about that method.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to give people the high points because I want them to check out the book.
Oh, thank
But
you.
what are some of the foundational pillars of the unshaming way that you can share with us
Yeah.
today?
The foundational pillar, given what I'm saying, is inside of people, most people, there's something I call a shaming witness. That means something happens and you think, what should I do? What did I do wrong? How do I correct that? I call that pathologizing. I look at myself as having an illness, maybe too strong. I'm depressed. How do I make
Mm-hmm.
the depression go away? I'm anger.
Mm-hmm.
How do I make my anger go away? I'm a procrastinator. How do I make my procrastination? I'm eating too much ice cream. How do I stop eating so much ice cream? Whatever
Mm-hmm.
that thing is, we quickly say, how do I not do this? How do I change that experience? That's the way almost everybody thinks. and for good reason. I don't sleep as much well as I would like to.
Hmm.
Somebody can help me sleep more. I want to do
Right.
that.
How do I solve
Um,
it?
sounds
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
So, and we live in a world that's like that, and healing, what people think of as healing is like that. But what that doesn't do is say, oh, you're depressed. What's your depression like? Oh, you're angry. Show me some of your anger. Wonder where you might need that. Oh, you don't sleep. What do you, if I wrote on social media, I don't sleep a lot, I would get lots of suggestions. I
Hmm.
get some empathy. Oh, David, I'm sorry. I get lots of
Hmm.
suggestions. Have you tried this? Have you tried this tea? Have you tried
Right.
supplement?
Right.
Have you exercised more?
We go into advice giving mode
Yeah,
because we want to take your pain away. And
exactly.
I talk about this when we talk about empathy hijacking, where
Oh,
someone shares
wow.
an experience with you and you say, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel because the same thing happened to me and here's what I did and you should do this and this and this." And all of a sudden it's not about you anymore. It's about me. I've decentered the narrative. And
Wow.
so
Wow.
that
That's
sounds like
amazing. I love that. Sorry, I'm interrupting. My New York is
yeah.
coming. All right, listen.
Yeah, no, I mean it sounds very similar that we almost empathy hijack ourselves at times where we don't want to let ourselves feel the feeling or deal with the issue where we instantly jump into problem solving mode.
That's
And you're
brilliant.
calling that I can't say it.
Pathologizing. Oh,
Pathologizing. Thank you.
I
Like
have a, it's a
apologizing,
pathology, right?
pathologizing. Yeah.
Something's wrong with me. How do I?
Yes. How do I fix it? Right.
That's so brilliant. I love what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy hijack. I never heard that term. That's really, and then
Yep.
what you're calling
Self hijacking.
empathy hijacking. I call that shame.
Yeah.
So I'm
Okay.
saying, I'm not saying that I'm not the right word. I'm saying that
No,
I'm
I
just
like it. I like
understanding
it.
our language. Or let me say this, self-empathy hijacking is a shaming act because this is me from my own experience. It's not interested in my own experience. Hmm. So then unshaming would have to say, let's go back to the example of me being up at night. And the
Mm-hmm.
question that no one would say, almost nobody ever, what's it like when you're up at night?
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, isn't that the very fundamental? Like, if you want to have empathy, you'd have to know what you empathize. What's it like? Are you nervous? Are you enjoying yourself because you're in the dark and no one, are you finally get to play? Are you
Mm-hmm.
scrolling Instagram and just looking for videos that interest you and you don't get to do that in a day because you're working really hard?
Yeah.
Are you, with all the pains and traumas coming up that you didn't get, like, what's actually happening there? We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give all my listeners a little an invitation, a little thought experiment around this
Go
in that
ahead.
the next time someone's sharing something like this, whether they're expressing a problem that they're having or an emotion, frustration, anger, fear, shame, stop, take a pause, take a breath and ask them what it's like.
Hmm.
Especially in the advice giving mode we're always in. So someone's talking about I feel like I'm losing touch with my child. I feel like they're distancing themselves with me. Instead of jumping into all the assessments of what's happening, what's that like? What does that feel like? What does that
Yeah.
look like? So that's a little thought experiment for everyone that's listening to us today.
It's
Just
so
to
essential.
practice that. That's amazing.
I work with,
What do you find is the reaction to that? So where does that lead? Does that lead to the person then actually processing what's going on for them because they're being asked that question?
yeah, they begin to process and find, I call it intelligence, something meaningful inside. But here's the thing that I know. Most people don't know how to answer that question in a deep way because not because we're not psychologically minded and developed, because no one ever said, oh, you're 6 years old. You say, Daddy, I have a headache. Oh, is it a pounding headache or is it sharp? Or is it like a pressure on your head? Is it making you dizzy? You want to close your eyes and you're nauseous? Is it like that would be like more like a migraine? Or is it like piercing in your eye? Like no one's, if people don't, oh, you're sad? What's your sadness like? Oh, is it like this in your body? Are you feeling heavy? Do you want to scream? Like those are different, right? One sadness is like one to moan, one wants to scream and yell, the other part wants to
Mm-hmm.
fall down on the floor. Like, and because and that you could do that with a child. You don't have to have like a psychological degree to
Yeah.
do that. But we're not used to being asked that, so we don't have that equipment. So most of the time when I say that to people, I have to slow down. What's it like? And they'll say, well, it's anger's bad, and then I'm angry. And I'm like, I know. And then where is the anger in your body at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
your chest? Is it in your throat? Is it in your fingers that are curled up underneath you?
Mm-hmm.
Put your awareness on that body part and just hang out and feel that, not as a word,
Mm-hmm.
just entering the body, the
Mm-hmm.
soma, somatic experience. I use that term not
Mm-hmm.
differently. Levine, he uses that term. What I mean by is the experience of the body takes us out of that pathologizing.
Mm-hmm.
So many people need to be led into what's it like to have a feeling in my body. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I have a bunch of words,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
don't
this is
know.
the thing, we talk about, again, kind of going back to being a parent. These tools I've learned apply to leadership teams as well as parenting. But this idea of, as my son, when he was very young, was helping him build his vocabulary of what the
Mm,
emotions were and what the words were, and helping him understand, are you sad or depressed, or are you angry, or are you bored, like helping
yeah,
him figure out when he has a feeling, how do I
mhm,
name that feeling,
yeah,
and the shades of gray that exist in all of those different feelings that you can have, right? You
yeah,
can not feel good, but is it because you're sad, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're
right.
hopeless? Like, what are those things? And it was so important to give him that language. But we're raising kids in a different time, and when you and I were younger, nobody talked about that. I mean,
Yeah,
you just felt what you felt, and no one
yeah.
explained it to you, and you didn't dissect it, and you just moved on,
You got sent to a medical doctor,
or you
you
got
know,
sent to a medical doctor.
so they
Exactly.
wouldn't know what to do.
So
Go to
I
the
want to
doctor.
I want to ask this question as we kind of wrap up, which
Yeah,
is a really important one, and it was an intriguing one that you had
yeah.
brought up with me. But
Love all your
how do
questions, by the way, and your insights. So thank you. But go ahead.
how do we yeah how do we unshame conflict? Because as we know, the workplace teams that are brought together, very diverse teams that are brought
Yeah.
together,
Mm,
depending on your family. You and I are both New Yorkers. We don't shy away from conflict. Not
yeah.
everybody is raised that way. So how can we unshame conflict? Because we need a healthy amount of conflict in order to make sure that we're hearing and
Yeah.
getting different perspectives.
Yeah.
And conflict doesn't have to mean anger. Conflict can just mean disagreement. How do we
Yeah.
unshame that?
Yeah. Unshaming anything means to allow the thing to show itself in a form that people are going to be uncomfortable with, right? I want to show you my depression. I want to show you my anxiety, etc. So what do we have to, so how do you unshame conflict? You have to create a space. Somebody has to witness it. Maybe it's me doing it in conflict with you right here, if I can be in conflict and also keep an eye on the two of us. If not, then we need another person.
Mm-hmm.
That other person's job is not to be on a side or advocate for upside. It's to witness the conflict. Now, how do you do that? Then you say, if you and I are in a conflict, then somebody should say, David, can you hold on a second with what's happened with you, what's coming out of you? We're
Mm-hmm.
going sorry, we're going to get to know that. Maria, if you could say the thing that is bothering you, upsetting you as strongly as you can. Now, if it's in a business, that would have to, different places are going to have to
Mm-hmm.
be different.
Yeah, of course.
You could say it all the way. Don't hold it back. Be as direct as you can, as sharp as you can, as clear as you can. David, I know that's not going to be pleasant, but we're going to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
Please bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't seem only right to you,
Yeah.
bring it out. And then you kind of go, rah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then we kind of go, and then I help, then that facilitator helps you. Do I
Mm-hmm.
have it? Is it this? If you
Mm-hmm.
went, would you want to say this also? I want to help you feel like I really said something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to say to David, what would you come out of you?
Mm-hmm.
You have a position, a sidedness or
Yeah.
whatever. Let's make sure that comes out. Now that's not solving the conflict. Now we have two sides, but now at least we know
Right.
where they are. I'm not
We're
passive
laying we're laying
aggressive.
them bare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. We're
Yeah.
laying there bare. I'm not just kind of like poke you afterwards and like hate you after we're done. And then we have to learn, I like your word, empathy. How do I now, if I feel some level of satisfaction that what's in me is out, somebody heard
Mm-hmm.
it, maybe it's not you, maybe it was somebody else who's here. How can I consider your side, not by trying to be nice to you?
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit of that in me. Can I
Mm-hmm.
can I see why someone would even think that around me, feel that way, have
Mm-hmm.
that opinion? If I can get some connection with a little empathy
Yeah.
for that, and you could, that would be great. But both of those come in. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this reminds me of, and I'll put a link in the show notes, my conversation with Edwin Rutsch, who runs the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. He's one of the
Mm.
founding members, and they do a technique called empathy circles that I've been trained in that facilitation.
Oh,
They train people all over the world for free in this
wow.
technique. And it's a really powerful and I will say painful exercise in active listening so
Mm.
that people feel heard. And it's very tightly constructed and there's a lot of guardrails around it, but it has enabled him to have these conversations at very, very divisive political rallies in our country over the last few decades.
So
And
important.
the goal is not conversion, it's connection. And
Beautiful.
so to kind of take this up a level, what I'm hearing you say also is that there doesn't need to be shame and conflict. It's just how we're dealing with the conflict and how we're navigating our way through the conflict that
Yeah,
is making us feel so bad about it, maybe. Is that kind of what I hear you saying?
I think it's exactly true.
Okay.
And then we need people who can hold strong things, right? I was involved in helping facilitate a conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. So somebody has to be able to hold how violent I feel, how much I want to like smash you because of what I've gone through. If we try to tamp that down, we should expect it to blow up when I'm not there. But we also don't want to, but we also don't want to say, go ahead, kill somebody. I'm not, put the gun away, use your voice anyway. So that holding the heavy conflict is a big deal. I see you're giving me a little signal of like wrapping up and I'm enjoying our conversation.
No, I really am too.
Yeah,
And I, I
yeah.
I think these are really important points and that we have to
Mhm.
be cognizant of shame and the role that it plays and
Mhm.
how it impacts our ability to connect with each other and
Mhm.
to connect, I guess, to connect with ourselves too.
Both.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk way longer. I know. Maybe we'll have you back on, have a part two.
Pleasure.
But
Yeah.
um, so I want to make sure everyone knows about the book, The Unshaming Way. We're going to put a link to it in the show notes. We'll have all your links in the show notes. But for anyone who might be on the go right now, can you share the best place that they can find out more about you and your work?
Yeah. Instagram, I have a lot of material there that's no cost that you can find there. It's under David, and my last name is Bedrick, Bedrick. David Bedrick, like bedrock with an I, David Bedrick. And if you searched Instagram, you would find me. And
Yeah. Well, and we'll have those links as well in the show notes so folks
great.
can
Thank
connect with
you.
you. David, thank you so much. Like there were so many insights in this conversation and just different ways to look at this. This was a very timely conversation.
Mm,
I think for all of us and for not only for our workplaces and ourselves, but for our culture as well. So thank you for the work that you're doing. We appreciate you.
so welcome. Thanks for inviting me and asking me such good questions. And yeah,
And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Empathy Edge podcast. If you like what you heard, you know what to do. Please rate, review, and share with a colleague or a friend. And until next time, please remember that cash flow, creativity, and compassion are not mutually exclusive. Take
mm,
care and be kind.